Heavy rain makes some drivers panic, but for others, it's the only time their mind finally goes quiet. Same road, same storm, completely different internal reaction. And most people never notice the moment it begins. Because at first, nothing dramatic happens. The rain just gets slightly heavier. The windshield loses a little clarity. Brake lights begin stretching across wet asphalt instead of staying sharp, but your brain notices immediately. Driving depends on prediction. Every second, your mind is estimating distance, speed, movement, timing. It builds a live model of the road constantly, and under normal conditions, that model works effortlessly. Then the rain interrupts it. Lane markings fade. Reflections imitate motion. Cars become harder to read instinctively. Suddenly, your predictions aren't landing as cleanly anymore. That's where drivers split psychologically. Some people respond by increasing control. More focus, more correction, more effort. They grip the wheel tighter without realizing it. Their eyes keep scanning aggressively, trying to recover certainty from a road that no longer provides it. And for a few minutes, that works, until the weather reaches a point where precision stops helping. The road becomes too inconsistent for perfect prediction. That's usually when another kind of driver changes approach entirely. Not consciously. They just stop expecting the road to feel fully manageable. And the second that expectation disappears, something inside them loosens with it. The speed settles naturally. The unnecessary corrections fade. Their attention becomes quieter instead of sharper. Not because they stopped caring, because their brain stopped fighting conditions it couldn't fully control. That shift changes the entire experience. Outside the car, the storm still looks chaotic, but inside, the world suddenly becomes smaller. Smaller windshield, smaller decisions, smaller focus, and strangely, that smaller world starts feeling easier to exist inside. Almost protective. Like the worse the weather gets outside, the less noise there is inside your own head. Most people assume stressful driving comes from danger, but usually it starts earlier than that. It starts the moment your brain realizes the road is no longer behaving predictably. That's why the first few minutes of a downpour feel strangely intense. Your habits are still calibrated for normal conditions. Normal visibility, normal grip, normal reaction time. But the environment has already changed, and your brain hates delayed adaptation, so it tries to compensate. You see it all the time once you notice it. Drivers checking mirrors too often. Tiny steering corrections every few seconds. Accelerating, then braking almost immediately after. It looks like concentration. Actually, it's overload. The brain is trying to rebuild certainty in an environment that keeps refusing to give it back. And the harder some people chase that certainty, the more exhausting the drive becomes. Because eventually, the rain forces a different reality onto you. You can't drive with the same rhythm anymore. Not smoothly anyway. That's the exact point. Calmer drivers begin changing psychologically. They stop treating reduced control like failure. That matters more than it sounds. Because most people unconsciously associate smooth, fast driving with competence. Slowing down feels like losing capability. But in heavy rain, the drivers who adapt fastest are usually the ones willing to let that feeling go first. They stop forcing the road to behave normally. And almost immediately, the pressure inside the cabin changes. Not because the danger disappeared, because the brain no longer has conflicting instructions. It's not trying to maintain normal speed while simultaneously surviving abnormal conditions. Now there's only one objective: move cleanly through the environment. That simplification narrows attention in a surprisingly calming way. You stop mentally chasing every possible outcome. Stop trying to stay 5 seconds ahead of the road. Your world shrinks to what immediately matters: the tires, the visibility ahead, the movement of traffic. And once that smaller world locks into place, the storm stops feeling like something attacking you. It starts feeling like something you're moving with instead. Once that mental resistance fades, the drive starts feeling different in a way most people never consciously notice. Not safer, just quieter. The first thing that changes is sound. Rain has no urgency to it, no sharp beginning or ending. It's steady. Water against the roof, wipers moving in rhythm, tires cutting through wet pavement at the same repeating pitch. After a while, your brain stops treating those sounds like alerts. They become background texture instead. And that matters psychologically, because normal driving environments are full of interruptions. Engines revving beside you, sudden horns, traffic constantly accelerating and compressing. Your attention keeps getting pulled outward. Heavy rain softens all of that. Cars spread out more. People drive with less aggression. Movement becomes slower and more deliberate. Even the city itself starts looking different. Lights stop feeling sharp. Buildings lose detail at the edges. The windshield turns the outside world into motion, color, and reflection instead of precise objects. You stop processing every detail individually. Your brain switches from analysis to atmosphere. And inside the cabin, a strong sense of separation begins forming. Outside feels distant, cold, unstable. Inside feels controlled. Not perfectly comfortable, but contained. Like the car has temporarily become a boundary between you and everything beyond the glass. That's why time starts feeling strange during heavy rain. Minutes stop feeling measurable in the normal way. You're no longer thinking in terms of how fast am I getting there. Your brain shifts toward a different question entirely. Does this feel stable? And once stability becomes the priority instead of speed, something deeper begins happening underneath all of it. Your attention narrows even further, not forcefully, naturally. The road ahead, the sound of the rain, the rhythm inside the cabin. That's it. No excess. And for a certain kind of exhausted mind, that smaller world feels less like restriction and more like relief. By the time the rain settles into a steady rhythm, something unusual has already happened. Your mind has stopped reaching so far ahead. Normally, it never stays where you are. Even during simple drives, part of your attention is somewhere else entirely, a conversation you keep replaying, something waiting for you tomorrow morning, a problem your brain keeps trying to solve in the background for no reason at all. Modern life trains attention to stay divided, always anticipating, always preparing, always slightly ahead of the present moment. But heavy rain interrupts that process, not emotionally, practically. Because once the environment becomes demanding enough, your brain starts cutting away everything that isn't immediately useful. The road takes priority, distance, traction, movement, visibility. And slowly, all the extra mental noise loses access to your attention. That's why the calm feels so different. It's not happiness. It's relief from excess processing. For a few minutes, your brain stops carrying more than it has to. Your world becomes smaller. The windshield, the lane ahead, the sound above you, the movement beneath the tires. Nothing beyond that matters right now. And strangely, that smaller world feels easier to live inside than normal life does. Because outside the storm, your attention is constantly being stretched in 10 directions at once. Notifications, deadlines, conversations, decisions. But inside heavy rain, the world narrows itself for you. No optimization, no rushing. No pressure to mentally live 3 hours ahead of your body, just presence. That's the part certain drivers become attached to. Not the danger, not even the atmosphere, the silence, the rare feeling that their mind has finally stopped overflowing. Then eventually, the storm weakens, the windshield clears, traffic speeds back up, the world regains its sharpness again. And almost instantly, you can feel your attention expanding with it. More thoughts return, more pressure returns, more mental noise returns, which is why there's always a strange moment right after the rain ends where part of you almost misses it, because for a short stretch of road, inside a storm most people were desperate to escape, your mind finally had less to carry. And maybe that's why some people love driving in heavy rain. Not because storms are calming, but because they temporarily remove everything that normally refuses to leave you alone.